Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Solana. This is going to be a lower time frame video. There is a higher time frame video up above, so check that out if that's more what you're interested in. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so within the higher time frame video, we covered a couple of counts here. Now, what I'm looking for primarily is the fact that we are in a bigger ABC to the upside. Now, typical zone of support we could see for this is this 1690 to this 1033. So it is possible we could have a completed move into this low here of this 1884, but we need to see price action react to the upside. So what we're looking for here is a bigger C wave to the upside, looking for this 5381 based off of our current low that we have here. It depends on where we take this low from. If we actually say that we completed here, this could actually see us push up higher towards the 62.95. Alternatively, if we see a breakdown towards this lower area here of the support box, we could see price actually come to this 42.82 at a 1-to-1. Now, looking at the bullish standpoint here, what we'd be looking for is actually a bigger third wave if we are looking to say that we have a trending move here, and what we'd be looking for is this 113.47. so this would be the bullish case where we'd get an additional fourth and a fifth, looking for this target area here of this 183.57 to this 137.39. Now we need to see price action follow through here. There is the potential we could also still look to break down and break this structure. So if we lose this 1033, I would not be looking at this as a ABC pattern to the upside, and that rather this move here has been a corrective structure which we could actually look to break down from. Now, if we're looking at the internal legs of this, the way that I'm currently treating this is as this is a W, this is an X, and then we could potentially have this as a Y wave here as we came down to the 0.618. Now, it's possible this could complete here, or alternatively, we could still have some price action to come to the upside here, and then one more drop where we could see a drop towards this 1556. So need to be aware that this is still possible, that we could see this 1556 play out, as well as that we do have this 786 at this 1737 to this, and this 854 at this 1677 region. Now, if we do look to break back down here and retest some of these levels, potentially we could look to swing fail this W wave, so I would be keeping an eye on it. We also do have this support box that we've got drawn on here, which basically has some levels within it, and what this has is it has a daily naked point of control towards this zone of this 1726, and then we also have the potential of swing failing this area, as well as that we do have some fib relationships which are falling within this area. So what we could see is price actually come back down into some of these fib levels that I'm looking at here. So we have this 382 at the lower range here of this 1559. We have the 382 of this move to the upside sitting here at this 1712, and then we also have a bigger 382 of the whole move to the upside sitting towards this zone here of the 1728. So I would be keeping an eye on this level if we do actually look to push down, and it would bring us back into the 786 zone. Now, if we're looking at this possibility, what we could actually see is we could see price come back into these levels here. Now, if we are looking at this Y wave is incomplete, what we could see is something along these lines, where we could actually see this move play out in this way, where we're treating this as a W, X, and a Y for an A wave here. We actually look for a 3-wave move to the upside in the A, B, and a C. Now, the way that we would be looking at this effectively would be that this is a wave here. We have a flat here for a B wave, and we're looking for a C wave. So this would be valid for as long as we hold this 1881. If we hold this 1881, what we could still see is that potential to see price action push to the upside here. Now, a 1-to-1 would be here towards this zone of this 2196, and alternatively, if we do see a push up to the 1.618, that would be here towards this 2383. Now, a target box for this would actually be between this 2480 to this 2209. So this 1-to-1 coming back into this level here would actually be a 50% retracement of this move here. So I would be keeping an eye on that. If we see this play out as ABC, potentially we could look to swing fail this high and actually look to get a rejection within this zone before looking to push back down. If we do look to push up higher, I would be keeping an eye on some of these other swing highs here towards this 2392 as a possible rejection area of for this 1618, and then higher up here this 2480. And now this would be looking at this as a corrective move to the upside. then what we'd be looking for is effectively having a additional drop to the downside before a C wave. Now, if we did get a push up here towards this 0.618 level, which is sitting here at this 22.96, what we could see is a C wave come down towards this 16.53. So any kind of 3-wave move to the upside, I would be cautious of, because this could actually mean that we look to actually break down afterwards. So this is going to be the key thing here. Now, we could also potentially argue this is playing out in this way, where we treat this as a W. Here we have this as a flat correction for an X wave, and what we could be looking for is a direct move to the downside in an A, B, and a C. Now, if we are looking for that, what we could actually see is something along these lines. So I'm going to come down here into the 1 hourly here, and the way I'm looking at this currently is that we still could potentially have a 4th wave in play here. So this would be looking at this as 1, 2, all of this is 3, and then this effectively as a 4th. As long as we stay below this $20.74 to this 19.96, we can look for this potential 5th wave. Now, the 5th wave could look to push us down into this $19 area to this 18.85. In which case, what we'd be on the lookout for is the potential for a 3-wave move to the upside, looking to reject off of this 21.51 to this 20.49 before continuation to the downside towards this target here of this 17.62. Now, this would tie into that idea of actually coming back down here, looking at this as a bigger W, X, and a Y, and would actually be looking for this area here of this 786. Now, I would also be keeping an eye on this 0.618 area here, which would be towards this 18.93. If we do see price action halt there after one more drop to the downside, it is possible that this could in itself complete the move. However, what we need to be careful of here, if we want to be talking about bearish potentials, is we need to be aware that if price action actually drops down deeper here, what we could see is a move down towards this 1618, which would be this 1586. Now, if we see price action do this, then what that would mean is we would actually see this is a 1, 2, this is a bigger 3rd wave. We'd look for a 4th wave somewhere up here towards the 1762 before looking for another 5th wave towards this 1546 to this 1485. Now, there is another way we can also look at this potential breakdown here, where we argue that this move is completed. Now, the difference within this is that we'd actually count this whole move into this low here and say that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then that would actually be looking at this as a completed move into this low. So if price action pushes above this zone of this 21.42 and actually breaks back above this high of this 22.31, we would have confirmation here that this whole move was actually a flat correction. So if we see price action break back above this high, this would mean that we have a flat here in which we would be expecting a stronger move to the upside. Now, once again, within this count, we have the same idea that this is going to be looking for an A, B, and a C. This 18.23, however, would be the target area for this. Now, if we do see that, that would tie to coming back down here into this little target box area that I've got, which actually has a daily and a weekly naked point of control in it, as well as looking at this as a potential SR flip from further back here. So I would be keeping an eye on this level. If we do get a move down between this 1834 to this 1826, this could be a potential turnaround point. So keep an eye on that level if we just get a 3-wave move to the downside. Once again, the same idea here will be playing out, that if we see a 3-wave move to the upside, we could still see a bigger 3rd wave to the downside here. We could see this 1666 get hit. So that would be coming off this 0.618 area. Obviously, within this, we also need to be mindful that sometimes what we can get is we can get shallower retracements. So I'm looking for this typical area, but sometimes what we might get is that within the structure we might only get something like a 382 retracement, which would actually be typically met already, where this is a $20.38. Now, if this is a shallower retracement, what we could actually get is something along these lines, where we see price action do this A, B, and then have a direct push to the downside for that C wave. If we did see a shallower retracement here, what we'd be looking for would be the 1773, and then once again we'd have to be cautious of the 1620 if we're looking at this as a shallower retracement here. So we need to just be careful. Really, as long as we remain below this high, we have that potential for extending to the downside. Now, if we want to argue this is a flat, there is the potential for this bullish case where we could say that if we have completed this Y wave into this 0.618, what we could actually have is this could actually become a 1, this could become a 2, and then we could look to actually push up for this third wave. Now this would be valid for as long as we hold this 1875, and what I'd want to see is the price actually move back above this high here of this 22.31. If we do see price move back above this, what I would then be looking for would be this $23.86 as a potential third wave target. Sometimes when we get a flat correction like this, we can actually see a stronger move off of the back of it. So I wouldn't be surprised even if we did see a 2.618 for this wave 3 if this is actually a flat. So this would be looking at that potential of this actually developing, instead of just being an ABC pattern like we talked about previously. If we hold this low of this 1875, we manage to hold above this 1912 area, what we could actually see is price reverse to the upside, where we form a bigger 5-wave move here for this wave 3. Now obviously if we do move up to this 27.26, this could still be a third wave, and then we'd have to allow for the fact we'd have an additional fourth and a fifth. But the primary target I'm looking for is this 1618 here at this 23.86. Now if we did see this smaller impulse play out, so we didn't reach this 2.6, what I'd then be on the lookout for would be an additional 3-wave down before looking to continue to the upside. Now this would be treating this whole move here as a bigger 5-wave move, where this would become 1, 2, we'd get a bigger 3, 4, and a 5, which could actually mean we see a push up towards the zone of this 35.72 to this 33.51. Now this would tie into the idea where we're actually looking for this C wave to play out to the upside, where our 1-to-1 is actually higher up here towards this 53.61. So need to keep an eye on this. If we do see price push directly up here, we're looking for a relationship to this A wave here. So it might fall short of that. I mean, potentially we could argue that we have some other levels that we could look to target out. The 618 would actually tie into exactly where our 5th wave target box would be at this 33.73. If we did see extension up, this 41.43, 41.35 would be an interesting zone, as well as that 1-to-1 that we have higher up here. Now, another thing that we also discussed is we could potentially see a triangle. So this is why it's a bit tricky at the moment. This structure here is not giving us a lot of clues as to what is going on. We need to see what price action tells us after we see whatever happens here. If we break this low, that bullish standpoint is gone, and this either needs to be a flat with a C wave, or alternatively this is just a corrective wave here in itself, and then we're still looking for that Y wave to the downside. Now if we are looking at this in this manner, what we'd then be looking for is the potential of then a 3-wave move to the upside. Now we'd be looking at this as a bigger triangle from further back here, where this is A, B, C. We'd be looking at this then as potentially A, B, and C for a D wave, and then we'd be looking for an E wave. So this triangle would be a B wave triangle, and what this would mean is that within this count, this B wave would actually be this triangle. So now what we'd want to see here is a 3-wave move up. We've got 2 target areas here. This is based off of the C wave, this 22.89 to this 22.67, and we have the higher one here based off of the B wave, which would be up here towards 25.71 to this 25.31. Now if we're looking to move into the trend line that we currently have drawn here, what we'd actually be looking for potentially would be this higher target area. However, we only need to connect the B and the D wave, so it is possible that this trend line could move down and we actually just have this from this B to this D wave like this, and then we have a smaller triangle. So gonna have to keep an eye on it. It doesn't need to include the origin. So if we did see a 3-wave move up here, I would be on the lookout for that potential of this being a D wave, and then we see another 3-wave move down for this E wave. If we did move up here, what we'd then get is that potential for this 3-wave to confirm this E wave. Now if we did move up past this 26.04, it would invalidate this potential of a triangle, or down below this 18.75, it would invalidate the idea of the triangle as I'm looking at it now. However, only by moving past this 16.01 could we invalidate it completely, or above this B wave high. So we need to just be aware of that as a possibility here, where we could just see this range here sideways, ABC, ABC, and then we look for that bigger push to the upside after that point. Looking at the weekly CPR points, what we can see is that we've actually broken below these central points. Now we have actually moved down to this R2 line already. So what I want to see here is whether price action actually continues to fall, in which case we could see this R3 line getting tested out at this 1862. If, however, we continue to hold this support and we look to break back above these CPR lines, just sitting here towards this 2165 to this 2132, what we could actually see is price action be gravitated towards this S1 line at this 2256, this S2 line at this 2350, and this S3 line at this 2470. So this would tie into that idea of that potential of this being A, B, and then C. However, obviously, if we do lose that low of this 1877, that would invalidate that possibility. So if we do continue to maintain this and we see price push back to the upside, regaining these CPR lines, I would be looking at the potential to actually come back up and test some of these higher ones. If, however, we reject off it, it could actually mean that we have more downside to come. Looking at the monthly CPR lines here, what we can see is the spread of these central lines is very tight. So this indicates volatility. Now, what we can see is that we actually are currently sitting below these lines here. If we had to move back to the upside here between this zone of this 2086 to this area of this $21, what we could actually see is a rejection off of these before looking to continue to the downside. So the R1 line is sitting here towards this 1861. We have the R2 line at this 1644, and then we have this R3 line towards this 1408. Now these are monthly CPRs, so it doesn't mean that we just have to, you know, break down and then just carry on going through and hitting these. What these can do is they can give us areas of confluence that we could actually see price pivot off of once it reaches these areas. So if we did see price actually fall down towards the zone of this 1863, we could actually see potential to come back up and retest the central lines here. And then if we had to move back up, we could actually see a push up to some of these higher lines. Now it is always possible here that price could reverse directly and we could see a push to the upside here as a fake out. What we could then see is the possibility of price being gravitated towards this 2316 as an S1, this 2549 as an S2, and this 2768 as a S3 line. So I would be keeping an eye on these if we do look to push to the upside here. This could actually tie in with some of those triangle ideas. And what can happen is price can actually move through these lines. These are just the closest ones that we could actually potentially see a reaction off of. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.